guys. Welcome to our second grade Parent Access Night. I guess first we will introduce ourselves. I'm Sherry Fry and I am 2A.
I'm Amari Powell and I teach 2B.
I'm Sarah Brustein and I teach 2C.
I'm Sarah Bowen, Bean or Miss B, and I teach 2D.
So we're hoping that everyone is joining in and watching on YouTube. If you have any questions, then feel free to put them in the question box below, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of go through a list of different things that you might want to know.
Come on in, guys. Welcome.
Hello. Hi.
All right.
Okay. So I think the first thing that we wanted to do is send out a reminder to all parents that hoodies are not allowed in school. Sometimes our classrooms, especially this time of year, can get cold. And so you may want to bring a jacket or a light sweater, but please, no hoodies are allowed. And especially as the weather does start getting colder and we go outside for recess, please remember no hoodies. We will have to tell the students to take them off and put it in their backpack. Also, no boots or light-up sneakers. That's a big one too.
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Please come in.
Come on in.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome.
And we're going to give these guys just a chance to come in and have a seat.
It will be easier if you come here. So if you have a question,
Yeah, do you want to come over here this way?
Okay. So just real quick, I'll say that again. So if parents can remember, please no hoodies, no light-up sneakers, and also no boots to school.
Yeah. Is there a question on there?
So far, no. Okay. So also, daily we send home a folder. Make sure you're checking for notes, graded papers, and newsletters. Newsletters, I send it on Class Dojo, and we're going to talk about that later. But just to make sure you're checking your folders, child's folders, making sure that you're taking out the papers and making sure it's out of there so that when we put more papers in, it doesn't pile up.
So like she was saying about the newsletter, each teacher does it differently, but mostly we send it online or on Dojo. With the newsletter, with what we're doing this week, I'm going to just give a little summary about our newsletter for this week. For reading, we're doing story structure. So the students talks about the character, the setting, and the plot. For writing, we're doing opinion and argument. So what we've been doing is they read a little story and they write their opinion on the story using a graphic organizer. With social studies, we've been doing history and time, so they're making timelines and stuff in class. And in math, we're doing adding to 20. These first 2 days have been review days, and then starting tomorrow, we'll be doing the adding to 20. And in science, we are doing effects on objects and seeing how matter and different things affect the objects.
I just want to say that we have, I think this is a name of parent, Jose Carbons, and he says, hello, teachers.
Hi.
So water bottles are allowed in our classrooms, but I just want to make sure we're talking about what kind of water bottles are used or allowed to be used. We really like the sports top where it pops up. They can drink it, push it back down. Not the flip tops where they can flip it. If it falls, it can flip open. I've had a lot of water bottles spill in my classroom due to that. I do like the ones with the straws on it. They're not going to spill as easily. And then these, not so much because they unscrew it. They might not screw it down correctly, and it might spill over when it gets knocked down. And it does happen a lot with water bottles getting knocked down. Oh, did I not? Okay, perfect. Okay. And then also for snack time, most of us allow snack one. I'm not sure who allows snack, but some of us do allow snack in our classrooms, and we do have snack time. Just make sure you're bringing a healthy snack. We've noticed that there have been snacks that are candy. We don't allow that. Cookies, don't allow that. Also, they have to be peanut free. We have serious peanut allergies in the second grade hall. So a lot of our kids do have peanut allergies. We just want to make sure we are making sure we're safe and they're going to be safe as well. So please remember not to bring any peanut food to our classrooms or lunch cafeteria.
Exactly. Thank you. And upcoming dates. Are y'all all right? Get your calendars out. Get them marking. Here we go. Grandparents' breakfast is September 21st from 7:30 to 8:45 a.m. You do have to purchase tickets in advance, so be aware of that and be ready and prepared. So don't just show up on the day. We have your ticket and everything. Fall picture retakes are September 24th. This is only for students that didn't take pictures for their orientation or something happened horribly with their picture and you just need to retake it. Let us know and we'll get their pictures retaken. Fall house party is September 27th. This will go along with the houses that the kids go along with, and it'll be for the parties for the house with the most points of September. And also that goes along with the box tops. So make sure you bring in those box tops so we can get more points for the houses. Staff Development Day is in no school for students, of course. That's wonderful for them. It's a Friday, September 28th. Also, we have an early release date on parent-teacher conferences on October 4th. Sign-ups will be coming out soon, so be ready for that and be looking for that. Check your dojo, phone, email, child's folder, anything, and we'll get that information out to you.
I just want to add that for a picture retake, the kids still have to follow dress code with their
Good to know.
yes.
Wear your uniform, kids.
This is a reminder to sign up to volunteer on Volley. I know I personally love for any parents who would love to come and sign up for my room. That's for you to do. So in case you need that link, it's harmony.volley.org. Once again, it's harmony.volley.org. And you can always check with your child's classroom teachers if they need any help. I know that we all have lots of different things going on and projects and everything, so we would probably love a parent who would love to help us. As well as with parties that are coming up in winter, as well as I know we have a Valentine's party as well. Also, want to just talk about, are there any questions up there before we go on?
No, not
Okay.
so far. They say thank you. Thank you.
So I just want to talk about a couple of tips to just help your child at home. I sent these home at the beginning of the year, and just for any parents who are wondering, really big this year is reading. Please, please, please encourage your child to read any and everything they see. I don't care if it's a sign outside, if it's the church marquee as you're driving down the street. They need to read everything. Even a cereal box counts. We just want them to see prints in different forms, get their minds going about reading. And then also encourage them, just ask them questions like, well, what does that mean? Or why do you think it's worded that way? These are the kind of questions I know I ask in my classroom. I just want them always thinking the next level. With writing, I know in my class, we have some very interesting handwriting. So please practice handwriting. For one, just so that we can understand their name on their paper, but also it'll help them in the long run as far as when they're writing their stories and when we're doing peer editing. If I can't read it, then their peer probably can't read it, and we can't edit our papers together. A lot of them get really scared about the spelling, and so just encouraging them to practice and not to get so caught up on the spelling that it'll come as they continue to practice what they're writing. And I know we all are giving spelling tests and spelling words and vocabulary, so it's just another opportunity for them to practice. With spelling, if they're having some issues with spelling, encourage them to sound out the words. We all teach phonics, and we sound out the words for them. And sometimes we know those sight words can be a little tricky, but just sound it out. Just keep working with them. I know, especially for my second language learners, they can get a little tripped up sometimes on those words. So hearing them repeatedly and seeing them really helps them. If you have a dictionary at home, encourage your child to look at the dictionary. Sometimes they never have seen it and they're like, oh, what is this? Have them look up a word in the dictionary. Talk about that word. What does it mean? What kind of word is it? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Let me see. And you can have them to practice their spelling words by combining them. Maybe they write a story using their spelling words. Maybe they make a game using their spelling words. Excuse me. Let's see.
And Spelling City. too.
And Spelling City, it's free. There's free parts of it that you can use. They can put their words into it and play a game, or just even it'll test them early so they can get the spelling test early and see what they missed and see what they need to work on. Whenever possible, like I said, let them write. If you are in the kitchen cooking, you're like, oh, I need to make the grocery list, have them write. I know it can be a little scary in case they spell those words wrong or write the wrong thing. They might add something that they shouldn't have on there. But just encouraging them to write like, hey, I need lettuce for dinner. Sound it out. Lettuce. Just helping them to practice. It's all good practice. As much as possible, try to make learning fun at home. I know that homework is not required here. I know the homework that I send home is just practice. So I always encourage my kids, go outside and play. Find something outside that can relate back to the classroom. Make a connection between your home life and school. Play board games together. Have them take the score. What else? Reading together. Put things on the refrigerator and maybe we play different scavenger hunts here. Maybe you can hide their spelling words around the house or put it on an index card, one letter each. They have to go to different rooms and find it. I don't want to give you a lot of extra work, but these are just little things. Like even if it's one word, you have to find the word score before you can come to the dinner table. I don't know, like going around the house. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
So I had a question. I have a particularly verbose child, comes by it honestly, but he hates writing. He will give like a 2-word answer to a word problem or something, and it's like, well, that was kind of right, but we were actually looking for a full sentence here. Is there like a fun game or a tip maybe that you can suggest that would help me make writing for him less of a pain point?
I think trying to touch on maybe what he likes the most and what he would like to write about the most, and sticking with those things would help. You can even start with creating, and we talked about this today in class, sentence stems, where you start the sentence for them and they have to finish the sentence. Or you write one sentence and then they have to write the next sentence, and you can go back and forth, taking turns. You can create a story where maybe you start the story and they have to finish the story, or switch it and let them start a story and then you have to finish writing the story. And it can even be something very short to begin with, and then maybe as you go along, you'll find that it gets longer and longer as time goes on. And also I try to kind of help them know, because most of the students feel the same way about writing at this point. They're like, why? And particularly if we're going back to revising and editing, they really don't want to have to go back and check their work and rewrite it again. And students always want to know, why am I having to rewrite this story? I already wrote the story. So I try to keep it very short, in maybe 10 or 15-minute bursts, so that they understand that it's okay. We're going to come back to this and we're going to work on it again, but it's only going to be for this amount of time. And then we're going to leave it and we're going to come back tomorrow and pick it back up again. And those are just a few ideas that might help out.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
We actually have a question from a parent.
Okay.
It's about Skyward.
Oh, yes.
Who would like to take the question?
What is it about?
All right, so it's a Skyward question. So he's asking, how can I log into Skyward to check grades for my child?
I'm not exactly sure as far as username and login for that.
I'll answer that because first they have to send an email. I'm going to write the email right now for front office. And then I'm going to also send the email for Ms. Reeve. She's our Dean of Academics here. And then they will send a link in that email. That link, when you click, it will send you the login information. And then you have to send the teacher an email saying, hey, now I'm on Skyward. And if you have any questions after that, then just let us know. And then we'll help you from there. But I'm going to build on this question. What kind of information Skyward provide for our parents other than grades?
It will provide attendance information as far as keeping track of any absences or parties that your student may have. It can also keep track of some discipline things. If something has gone a little bit further than just a quick reminder, then there comes a point, I think it's, what is it, step 3 maybe, where we have to kind of put a note in Skyward about any behavior issues. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if there's anything else really that Skyward would provide at this point.
Yeah.
Well, MAP scores will be there.
Oh, are they on there?
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
All right, so I did send the email. Please send the email to Ms. Patel, and she's gonna reply back. I'm sure she's really good at that. And if you still have a problem, please let us know. Any questions? Oh, by the way, I want to thank all the parents that showed up here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, this is amazing. Any questions?
I'm not sure if you guys answered it already. It's about the reading assessments. Like, how do you guys measure where the kids are reading languages?
So we have done what they have MyOn. They've done like a reading assessment on there. From there, if their scores are low or lower than average, then they go on to taking the TPRI with us, which we did 2 weeks ago, I believe. And that's where we really figure out like our tutoring groups, their reading levels, and then making small groups with that, and then in the classroom working with them.
And in the TPRI,
Yes.
sorry.
No,
I've cut you off a little bit.
fine.
In the TPRI, we see what words they can read. We see how fast they can read it. We see if they understand what they just read. And we just do, we also do a spelling inventory to see how well they spell and understand what they're spelling. So it's just different things all combined.
So is TPR an actual application or an assessment that you sit down with them?
Yeah, we
Yes.
sit down and
It's like one-on-one.
So he came from the school where they had like iStation, and at one point they had him like a year behind, and then the teacher actually sat down and read with him, and he's actually further along.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I just,
Yes.
yeah, we sit down with the student. With the MyOn, originally, they take a quiz, they read like little passages, and then they take what they learned from that passage and answer the question and different things like that on MyOn. And then MyOn will rate them on their reading level. And from that reading level, we'll take a TPRI and see how far they are. Like, are they on kinder level? Are they on 5th grade level? We'll just see with TPRI how far they are.
and also books. Will they get like reading books to come home to keep up, so we can progressively keep growing to the next reading level? How does that work?
With my classroom, I don't know about y'all, with my classroom, I let some of my students check out books at their level or below their level. It's up to them. If they want to read it for fluency and they want to get better at fluency and they want to read it over and over, they can get a lower level book. If they want to get a higher level book and practice words that are a little bit difficult for them, they're welcome to. And that's up to them and the parents if they want to bring home a book or not. That's also up to the teacher if they want to take home the books. If not, the library, local library is always available and we can tell you your student's level. And so you can go and there's an app called Scholar or Scholastic Book Wizard. And you just scan the title of the book and it'll tell you what level the book is for your student. So if you want to know your level for your student, we'll tell you that level, and then you can go to the library and find the book on their level.
And I just want to add to this that we will actually be part of the readathon. It will start in November and gonna last until December. And with that, I know it's like kind of a competition, but it also helps a lot with reading books to your child's level. Did you add anything?
Yes, I was going to add one
question.
more thing about MyOn. Today I sent home information on what websites they can go on with their QR code. And then on the back of the QR code has their student ID number. MyOn will have books, his level, that he can read at. So, and it's
all
at
free.
home. It's all free. It's all through the school. So,
And that goes along with math too. If your student is struggling with math, there's activities in math on there. their actual book is on that website that we gave them with the code. So if they want to catch up, if they want to get ahead, it's all there for them.
I have a question from a parent, Edgar Gonzalez. And the question is, any specific books that you recommend for my child to read?
Gonzalez is the. I think that's your name.
Like I said, really going on Mayan will have their leveled reading books. I could talk to your child more tomorrow about some books that he can read. But definitely Mayan because it has it leveled for them on their level.
And also on Mayan, they take a quiz in the beginning of the year whenever they start at Mayan. So it'll give them books that they're already interested in. They can go in and search for books, but say you have a kid who is really into dinosaurs and that's all they want to read. They can go in and find books just about dinosaurs that are on their level, that they will understand, and that they will enjoy.
Ms. Fry, can you explain to our new parents what's Mayan?
Oh, yes. So Mayan is a program that basically took the place of Reading X for us in the past. And it's a program where they can sign on with their QR code. And they're all familiar with using that because we do it in the classroom several times a week. And they can go through the library and choose the books that they want to choose online. And read those books, and then they can take a short quiz on the books as well. And there's, just countless numbers of books and interests, any interest that they could ever think of, where they can find those. And several times a year, we will have them do an assessment. We've done the beginning of the year assessment. We'll do a middle of the year and end of the year assessment to kind of see what Lexile level they're on. That's just their reading level. And right now, we're probably looking at somewhere around Lexile level 300 to 350 is kind of where a beginning of the year second grader should be, somewhere around that number. And then we also have iRead. That is the phonics program that we use. And so they can go online and click on iRead and also work on phonics and reading through that program as well.
And that can be a very helpful website for students who are ELLs, English language learners, or their second language, because it helps with that, those vowels and flipping it back and forth between this is what the English version of it is versus what it's in Spanish or whatever other language they may speak. While we're on the subject of reading, if I have much time here.
Yes, we have time.
Okay, I just wanted to just talk a little bit about comprehension. I know we've talked about the reading and fluency as well. Fluency is very important with the reading, but to me, fluency is not as important if they can't understand what they're reading. Yes, it is important that we do want them to be able to read at a good speed and pace, so you can practice that by chunking their reading. Like, hey, why don't you try to read this page and let me time you and see how fast you can do it. Okay, stop. Now let me time you again and see if you can get any faster. And that can help to build their fluency as they get more familiar with those words. When it comes to comprehension, understanding what they read, like I said, is very important. If they don't understand what they're reading, it's harder for them to comprehend even as they're writing. Better readers become better writers. So, and also if they don't enjoy reading or they don't know what they're reading, it makes it hard for them to enjoy it. So that's why I said making sure it's okay if he reads a comic book. Let him read the comic book as long as he's getting some words in it. Okay. If you have a kid who's very curious and wants to read the newspaper, look at the newspaper. As long as they're reading, they're reading. That's all that matters. So a few things that you can do to help them with comprehension. As they're reading, stop them. And I know my kids probably get mad at me. I stop them all the time. I'm like, hey, why do you think the author said that? Why do you think they chose that word? Is there another way to say that word? I bother them all day, but I always want them to stop and just think about it. And it makes them realize oh, yeah, why did they say it that way? Why didn't he say it this way? Oh, I know there's another word that means that. Oh, my mom says that. And they see different connections with what they're reading. It makes them easier to comprehend and understand what we're working on. So, like I said, ask them open-ended questions. Don't just ask them a yes or no question. They love just saying yes, no. No, ask them something that makes them think. So, for example, how do you think the character feels about this? Even if it's a script or something, maybe they're writing a comic book. And you're like, well, how do you think he felt at that moment? Make them think about it. I like this one. It says, encourage them to make a movie in their head. I always tell my kids, close your eyes. Visualize what's happening in the story right now. Now, what do you think is going to happen next? Make them think. Make them make inferences. That's going to be a big thing that's coming up soon that they all struggle with. Making an inference or an educated guess about what's coming next in the story based on what they've already read. If they can picture what they're reading, it's going to be easier for them to understand it, for them to make a product of it. Do you have anything to
And to tie in writing with that, if you want to do a fun activity that your kid is actively reading a book or a story and they finish the story, you're like, okay, how did the ending go? You're like, okay, now change the ending and get them to create an all new ending. And so they get the writing in, they get the picture in their head. It's really great and really fun. So and they enjoy it too. So
I like that too. Yeah.
Do we have any questions from parents?
I have a question. So I know parent-teacher conferences are coming soon, October 4th.
fourth, yes.
What for our new parents? What should they expect from such a meeting?
One of the things I'm looking forward to with that is getting to know the parents better, and also seeing what their expectation is for their student. Like, okay, your student's doing really good, but they're like, I need more homework. I'm like, so also to let them know that the test scores are going on, what's going on in the classroom, how their students acting, and also letting them know that either their student's doing really good and understanding it, or hey, like your student may need more tutoring or may need more explanation on this. Let me sit down with them and explain it. And anything else?
I will give a copy of the MAP scores to parents, and we'll kind of explain that for parents because sometimes it's a little confusing to understand the data and what does this percentage mean, what does this score mean. And so I can really go into a little bit more detail for parents and let them know what their reading and math MAP scores actually mean for the student. And I'll also kind of go through some of this stuff here as far as what you can do at home to help the student as well. And, just talking about grades and behavior and things like that, and ask, any questions that anyone might have at that time.
What if the parent couldn't make it on that day?
I'm willing to reschedule and do any other time that I can for parents, anytime. So just email me and let me know, and we can schedule a different time and have a conference then for sure.
And
Go
that
ahead.
also goes as far as, I believe the slots are maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So just being respectful of that time. And if you do feel like you need more time, just message your classroom teacher. Like, we all talk a lot. We are willing to pitch in where we need to in order to help your children.
That was my next question. Thank you, Ms. Powell. My the other question here is, what is the best way to communicate with the teacher?
Class Dojo and email is probably the best. I get Class Dojo on my phone, so if I have it with me, I have that more with me than my computer. I'm able to see that more.
Yeah, same for me too.
And all my parents have signed up, so hopefully.
Oh,
And if
Yeah.
anyone cannot, please sign up.
Yes,
Before
please
left.
sign up. Email us. If you don't know how to sign up, we can always email you or text you a code. So it's super easy to sign up.
and they have it as an app on their phone?
Yes, it's an app on your phone. You can also go on your computer as well.
All right, we have a question from Candice Marr. I hope sorry if I'm just misspelling. My son, Tavon, logged into a website that had multiple apps you all used, but I do not remember what it was called. Any ideas?
Yes, you should today in his folder, there should be a packet with his QR code, and that will have all of the websites or the apps. It should be, is it My Harmony?
It's My Harmony.
My Harmony.
Harmony.
My.harmony.org.
Or TX. HarmonyTX.org.
Sorry, my.harmonytx.org. And that is the site that they can go on, and it has all of our apps that we do use in the classroom.
And also Clever, on the My Harmony, Clever, if you click on Clever, it has even more apps.
Yes.
So it's all there.
All right, can you say the website again?
My.harmonytx.org.
Any other questions?
Do you have a question? Yeah.
Yes, I have a specific question, but I know Mrs. Brown has met with you guys for the GT kids that you guys have. What what are you guys doing for them? Because I know they get bored easily and the bored kid they never make good choices.
Yeah.
So one of the parents is asking the teachers offer for the GT, gifted and talented students in their classes.
With me personally, we do a project during math and reading. Right now we're building a water park. So they're creating their own water park. They're creating ads. They're actually going to build it. So they're bringing in supplies like cardboard and water bottles to actually create the water park.
Just your GT kids?
That's just my GT kids. So whenever I'm teaching a small group, my other kids are at my teacher table and working on it by themselves. And whenever there is like a question or anything, they're welcome to come to me if they don't understand anything. But it's all pretty much all laid out there for them. And they're pretty good at understanding it. Also, in GT, Ms. Crone set up Google Classroom for us. And so we are able to do different activities on Google Classroom and set that up for math and reading and science and social studies. So we're going to be setting that up actually possibly this week with Ms. Crone. And also our goal is to have a fluent activity where it goes from GT to class. So it's just one big activity that they're working on.
And so that's still kind of in the works at this point of getting that set up with Ms. Carone, so that the students will have access during class time to work on the features.
And training them how to get on the computer and do the correct thing. So that's just a process right now.
That's awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. I have one other thing I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
go for it.
I know that you guys were talking about water bottles. I know where you can get a great water bottle.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Email ptohsicarrollton@gmail.com and we will hook you up with a great water bottle for $10.
Oh, perfect. All right, $10
Awesome.
PTO. I love it. Perfect. Hopefully they're non-spill too, right?
I'm sorry.
Non-spill.
They are non-spill.
Good. We need that in the classroom.
Yes.
So check out PTO. They're selling a very a recommended
Yes.
water bottle for $10 only. Just send an email to PTO HSI at Carrollton@gmail.com, and I'm just gonna write the email right now.
Also, another reminder, please do not bring any peanuts in the classroom. Whether that's a Snickers bar that has the peanuts hidden in chocolate, just don't bring it. It's not worth it. It's not worth their safety. We have a lot of kids that are very allergic. Nothing for lunch too. We have kids that don't eat lunch in the cafeteria because they're so allergic to it. So please be aware of that. Anything else?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. All right. So I am planning math right now, and so I just wanted to give you just some tips about math, as I'm very passionate about math. So it is very, very important that your child has fluency. As she said, we are starting addition strategies this week. We've been working on place value, so now we're moving into our topic 2, which is addition. We work with Rocket Math, which helps them build their fluency to be able to quickly sprout off those math facts. If you have a child who, like you said, GT, or they are really good with addition, go ahead and start pushing them towards multiplication, because I want to tell you, when we start multiplication, we have maybe 3 weeks to do multiplication, and then it's done. So if you can start building that now, even as we start working on addition, showing them how it relates, that's going to be so beneficial for them in the long run, that they can start already seeing that. And it's going to help us in the classroom as well, because I know in my class, I have a lot of tutors. Everybody wants to be a tutor, but I'm like, you can't be a tutor if you don't know the math facts. So if they already know it, they can be helping each other. It'll be easier when they're playing games to understand it. Just so you know, it should take about less than 3 seconds for your child to recall a math fact. So just have that kind of in the back of your ear as they're practicing. 3 seconds. 3 seconds, you should be able to tell me the answer to this. And that just comes with practice. We all do Rocket Math, which is some good practice for them. There's flashcards. I use a lot of flashcards in our room. We do a lot of board races, just trying to make them think on the spot. I'll call out a number. We might even just use a calculator to make up a number, solve the problem. So it's just about getting them to answer quickly. Problem solving. We use a model called UPSI to help them to break apart a problem, particularly with word problems as well, because it helps them to kind of chunk the problem apart and find out what it's actually asking them. So in case you haven't heard of UPSI, U stands for understand the problem. P is for plan it out how you're going to solve the problem. S is for actually solving the problem. And then E is for evaluate or explain your answer. We typically move pretty well through the first three, and then we get to evaluate and the kids get stuck. Evaluate, we're simply just saying, explain how you got your answer. Look back in the boxes and say, okay, I know my problem said Jenny has 3 bottles of water and Sam has 2 bottles of water. How many bottles of water do they have in all? Well, we know our question. How many bottles of water? They make a plan. I will add Jenny and Bob's bottle of water. They solve it. 3 plus 2. Explain. Well, we know 3 plus 2 is 5. I know that they have 5 bottles of water because I added 3 plus 2. They can do it in their head, but when it comes to writing it, they get stuck.
Yeah.
So just practicing that. I know I have a math journal. We started doing UPSI in our math journal. We're going to continue with different problems, just breaking that apart. So just having your child to problem solve different things, having different math scenarios. I talked earlier about the board games, having them take the score. For problem solving, I said this in the kitchen. Sorry, I'm a cook, so I always go back to the kitchen. If you're in the kitchen and you're missing something from a recipe, or you don't have enough plates on the table, ask your child, how can we fix this problem? Well, maybe they might say, well, Mom, we don't need that. We can substitute this. It's problem solving. No matter how small you may think it is, that is helping them to think. It's helping them become a better learner when they can try to solve those kind of problems. They really need
alone.
even the recipes.
That's-
And then exposure, like I say, expose them to different math scenarios, game nights, cards, counting the money because we only have a limited time on money as well, and that goes fast too. So even just saying, hey, you have $1, we're going to the store. How much does that candy bar cost that you want? Oh, it costs 98 cents. How much money will you have left over? Since we know we're not really teaching tax. So how much will you have left over? 2 cents, like having them use those real world scenarios.
Or you should invite Miss Powell to your house so many times a year. We have a question here. First, we have parents saying thank you. And there, one of the parents said, first thing first, this is pretty awesome. So thank you. But we have a parent who's asking, who is Miss Brustein?
Hello.
There she is. Zoom. Hi. She missed parent-teacher night. So Miss Brustein, if you can just say one small introduction.
Yeah, so I'm Miss Brustein. This is my first year at Harmony. My first year teaching, but I've worked with kids for a long time. I used to work for Plano ISD for almost 7 years before going back to school and finishing my degree. So I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Thank
She's an
you.
amazing teacher. We have the best second group ever, honestly. Any questions? Thank you. There's another parent who joined us, so thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have any questions, Amir?
He's actually great.
Oh, so you don't want to go back to second grade?
Regarding to fluency, what's the minimum words that children can read per minute?
So we have a question from one parent that we have here asking how many words per minute the second grade kid is expected to read.
I would say it's probably in the 60s or 70s per minute.
Thank you.
Yes.
But like I said, don't get discouraged if they're not at that level yet. You just practice.
I do have another question. Is it bad for a second grade kid to be, my daughter doesn't like to read, let's say it like that. She doesn't like to read, and I've been pushing her to read. I have encyclopedia at home that I bought a couple of years ago. She likes science. So I'm asking her to read that book every time that I see that she's grabbing the phone.
Yeah.
Is it bad for a child to read about science at second grade?
No.
No.
Those are the words that I
Not at all.
It's
Yeah.
whatever she's interested in reading.
Yeah.
Just anything that she's interested in is just fine.
Yeah.
Because the more interested they are in what they're reading, the more they're going to understand it and the more they're going to want to read more.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's a lot of books on Myon that are like science specific, like National Geographic. There's tons of stuff on Epic. So you can definitely look that up and find her books that she's more interested in. Also, there is like a certain book series out there that you can find that's science specific, so she can get hooked on it and keep on reading further and deeper on the topic.
Am I gonna be able to use that on my phone? Because I don't have internet in the house.
Oh, that's a good question. I believe so. It won't be like an app or anything, but you can definitely get the
website.
you can get the website up on your phone.
I would think so.
But it will definitely like you have to zoom in and it'll be a little bit smaller, but you can get it.
Okay.
And also, she's always welcome to use it here and find what she's interested in, and maybe we can either get it from the library or something. We can figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll check on that.
Yeah.
Any questions from parents? Kids, do you have any questions for your teachers? Of course, Austin, please come here. Austin, come here. This is our amazing Austin. And who's your teacher, Austin?
Miss Fry.
Miss Fry. You have a question for Miss Fry?
Yeah.
All right, come here,
How
please.
often do you get tests?
All right, so Austin, can you repeat the question? Can you repeat the question, please? Yeah, say the question.
How often do we get tests?
How could you get tests? Well, we have our comprehension tests usually every week that goes along with their journey story that we read. We have a math test usually every maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. And then we usually have a science and social studies test around the same, like maybe more like every 6 weeks, I would say.
And then spelling, of course.
Oh, yeah, and the weekly spelling test, yeah.
Often.
Yes.
Weekly. Sorry.
Any other questions, Austin?
Thank you, Austin. Do you have any questions for your teachers? Yeah? No? All right. Do you have any questions?
Miles, no questions.
Parents are saying thank you again, and actually this is one of the best parent access nights that we have. We have a lot of participants and lots of questions, so thank you so much, second grade families. Your support make a difference. Is there anything else would you like to say to your parents who are watching?
No peanuts.
Again.
No peanuts.
Please check their folders, check your children's folders home. Lots of graded work. I know in my syllabus, I know a lot of us have similar syllabi, something like that. Oh my goodness, sorry, words. The Harmony policy is that students can make up any grade below a 7, that's failing to get a 70. However, teachers have varying dates for how long they will give that. So please make sure you're mindful of that. Just because we don't want to wait until the end of the 6 weeks for your kid to turn in their missing grade, and then all of a sudden we got to rush to grade it.
Yeah.
Also, like I said, check their folders. I know I'm constantly sending home work. I know everybody's constantly sending home work just to let you see like what we're doing in class. If you have questions, please ask your teacher, and don't wait. Just shoot us an email or shoot us Dojo. I know, like you said, all of us use Dojo, and I will more likely I'm going to answer you on Dojo before I ever get to your email. I will see that Dojo, and I can stop while they're reading or something and shoot you that message back easier than I can email you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are there specific days you send homework, or just whenever it just kind of accumulates?
Accumulates, really.
Yes, just whenever.
I usually send home on Fridays is our mailbox day. They're supposed to check the mailbox. We're still trying to get into the habit of that because I don't think they're used to check the mailbox. So Fridays are usual days, but if it's getting really backed up, it's got to go on.
And I try to send folders home at least 3 times a week. Sometimes I just don't have anything to send home. So if you don't have the folder, you don't see the folder, it's just because we didn't have anything to send home that day. And I don't see the need in sending home an empty folder.
I still do just for practice.
I have another question. In regards to the children, and this is because I asked my daughter and there was no answer for that. Kind of embarrassing. But when the child has a missing paperwork, what does that mean? Is it that the child was not at the classroom, or she was not doing or paying attention, or she didn't have enough time to do it?
Generally, I mean, for my classroom specifically, it means that they were not able to finish it, and they probably had at least 2 different opportunities to finish it, and it just was not completed at that time. And if it gets to that point, then it does need to go home. I try not to do that. I try to work with students to get it done during class time, but occasionally I do need to send it home if we've had several opportunities to work on something and it's still just not getting finished.
And that brings me also to like absent work. When they are absent, I know I have a stack off to the side where I put their work. I generally want them to finish it in class in case they have any questions, because depending on how many days they've missed, it doesn't make any sense for me to send it home. And then parents are like, well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So I generally, absent work is in the classroom. Like she said, if there's something that we just can't get to, but I have talked them through it, then I will send it home. But generally, if you're having homework, if you're in 2B and you're having homework, it's generally because maybe they did not master the subject of that day. So I'm sending it home for practice.
Yeah. And also usually homework, like she said, is practice. So you don't have to worry about bringing it in for a grade or anything, or worrying about if they get it right or wrong. We just want to make sure they understand it and that they're going to be ready for the test coming up.
And if it is graded for my class, I can only speak on my class. If it is graded, it's not going in the grade book. It's just showing them what their progress is being made on it.
And I also want to say, if anybody wants to get, right now I'm not working, so if anyone needs any kind of help with the classroom, I'm
Thank
here.
you.
We do. No, you don't, Molly.
No, I
Okay, now you will be.
It's like,
That's a good reminder. Definitely sign up on harmony.volley.org. If you go ahead and register now and get that out of the way, then you'll be able to go on and look for lots of different opportunities where you can volunteer at the school, and we'd love to have you guys.
Yes.
So that would be step 1, is to go ahead and sign up.
And the great thing about Volley is all of the opportunities for volunteering will be there. Like it can be as simple as volunteering in the classroom or volunteering whenever a field trip comes up or anything. You'll just be already signed up. So it'll just be one less step for you.
Any questions?
I was just going to say, for most of us, well, I believe all of us, tutoring has started this week. So if your student did receive a letter, please send that letter back so that we can know that you received it and that you know where your student will be during tutoring. I think majority of us have it at least one day a week. And if there's things that need to be changed, please let us know. If your child cannot make it to tutoring, or if you just feel like you just need a little bit extra, just let your classroom teacher know. We have tons of things that I'm sure that we would be glad to give you if you just need a little bit more practice. And I'm going to look up this website for you because I can't think of it off the top of my mind, that you can go into and literally find Just Science websites. You can type in, it's free. It comes with questions. And when I think of that name, I will tell your child's classroom teacher because it is killing me right now that I can't remember it.
Also with tutoring, we make our tutoring groups after clubs have started, and it's hard for us to schedule around every student's club for tutoring. So the days that we do have for tutoring, I mean, we do have a lot of after school stuff that we have to do. So the days that we do schedule for tutoring honestly are the only days we have for tutoring. So it's really important, if your child is getting that letter home for tutoring, it is so important that they come to tutoring. It's needed, it's mandatory, and honestly, club tutoring, I think tutoring is a little bit more.
Yeah.
And if it happens to conflict with the club that you've already signed up for, I would check with the front office and ask them about that to see about possibly switching to a different club or on a different day or something like that. Because we do have to kind of get the tutoring time in.
Yes.
We have a parent just joined us. Do you have any questions?
I think the only question I have is with the map test, when we get the scores back for those.
I have them already if you would like them. They're also available in Skyward, she was saying.
Oh, there's okay.
And then I will have a copy for you at parent-teacher conferences.
Okay, that sounds good.
Especially at parent-teacher conference, we'll be able to explain it. Unless you're a pro and you know how to read
Right.
this. I'm not. I'm not, so you can probably read that.
Yeah. That's fine.
And we used to send them in the mail as well.
Oh,
So, but we'll check this year. But usually, the parents will get informed about the MAP scores before the parent-teacher conferences. If you have any questions, again, email your teachers,
Yes.
and they will be happy to answer.
And if you need any of these handy little tips I was talking about, just let me know. I've already got them typed up for you.
Yep, we'll send them home.
I plan on sending, at least for 2C, I plan on sending them home with all my students.
Yes.
All right, we have another question, and it's about field trips. Any field trips in the planning?
I'm not sure yet. We have one that we're kind of thinking about in our mind. It just has not gotten approval from who it needs to be approved by at this point. So we're definitely looking into it. Just stay tuned, and we will let you guys know as soon as possible. That is another reason to sign up on Volley, because if you want to do a field trip, you do have to be signed up with Volley to be a chaperone.
I have to give Miss Fry something tomorrow because she mentioned Polly so many times. Anyone? Oh, please go ahead.
Which way is faster to communicate with the teacher?
Yes. So we have a question from a parent about the fastest way to communicate with the teacher.
Class Dojo.
Yeah, Class Dojo.
Dojo is the best way, the fastest. We'll respond faster.
Yes.
Class Dojo or email. If you're not on Dojo, email is the next best.
So, but how do they go on Class Dojo? So they have to.
Yes.
Class Dojo, usually at the beginning of the year, we'll send home a code. If you haven't gotten that code, let your teacher know, and we'll send home the code. And whenever it pops up on the app or the website, you'll type in the code, and it'll automatically link to your student.
No, I'm already late.
Okay.
Oh,
good.
perfect. Awesome.
Oh, these are.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good.
All right, we have a question from Mrs. King, Marcella. Hi, Marcella. She's very active with our PTO, and her husband the same. So we're really lucky to have them. And she's asking. She says, I joined late, so I'm sorry if it's already been asked. Are parent-teacher conferences be held after school this year too?
Yes.
Yes.
Their October 4th is early release day, and that's our parent-teacher conference day as well. So they'll get out at 11:50, sorry. And then we'll have our conferences as well. And if you cannot make that day, that's okay. Just shoot us an email or shoot me an email, really. And we can schedule a different day for you.
Also, if you need more time during the parent-teacher conference, which is about 10 to 15 minutes, let Ms. Briestein know or your teacher know, and we'll schedule a different time so you can get more talk time with your teacher.
Hi, Lily.
Hi, Lily. Tell the chickens I say hi.
Aw. Any more questions, Ms. Johnson?
Davidson.
Well, Davidson.
Davidson, what? Been here this whole time.
It's a long day.
I'll let you
Miss
have it.
Davidson is here.
Let me see. Only other question I think I have is our communication as far as kids. Are we still using SumDog and what are the other one? Mayan, are we still using that?
So for this year, I know a lot of you are familiar with SumDog. In second grade, they're no longer using SumDog.
Okay.
They're using a new program called Dreambox, which they're all seeming to pretty like very much. So it's called Dreambox,
Okay.
and our reading program is still Mayan
Okay.
and iRead. I will be sending home another QR code. We just switched our QR codes over. So another QR code should be coming home fairly soon so that they can log in at home as well.
Okay.
I'm still not sure if they work on iPads. Do they work on iPads or not?
Dreambox does.
So Dreambox works on the iPads in case you don't have a computer.
It works on Safari, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have like an app for it. But if you bring it up on the MyHarmony website with the QR code, it'll all work on the iPad.
And the kids keep forgetting, yes, they can get on it at home. They think they can only get on it here. No, you can get on it at home,
Go play.
work ahead, have some fun.
Good question, thank you. Any questions? I feel like I have a question. No? And Mrs. King says, perfect, thanks. I guess, well, it's getting close to the end, and now we're gonna have our third grade Parent Access Night. So thank you so much for everybody who joined us. Thank you for the second grade team. Thank you for the parents who came and joined us in person. You guys are amazing. Your support means everything. Anything to say before we
Check their folders. No peanuts. Sign up on Volley.
Thank you.
Also, thank you parents for the support for coming out. It really means a lot. Y'all don't know, but it really does mean a lot.
We appreciate you all as teachers. Thank you for the support today.
And please check Dojo all the
Yes,
time.
Dojo.
Maybe you should have a shirt.
Make a shirt.
Give me your sizes and I'll have.
Yeah, there you go.
For free.
Wow,
You like
we
that
just
for
got a
sure.
perfect
Even
deal.
better.
All right, I'm just saying that I joined the second grade team,
Yep.
so.
She's one of us.
Yes.
She's with them.
Thank you so much. We're gonna end our stream. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Bye,
see
guys.
you next time. Bye.
I'm waiting for